And we have a number of guests. So I ask people, I'm going to the meeting to order at 5:04. If someone could please make sure you're muted. There's someone making background noise. Everyone, please make sure you're muted.
Oh, shit.
So I thought what we do, let's go around the room since we have some guests. I had also invited Rich Shriver, the head of the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if he said he would join us, but he's not on yet. So I'm Howard Margulies, the chair. Candace, you just can introduce yourself.
One moment, please. My name is Candace Fuchs. I've been on the commission for maybe 4 or 5 months, and I'm a resident in Old Lyme, and I work in the pharmaceutical industry.
Courtney?
Hi, everyone. Courtney Hendrickson, Advanced CT. Looking forward to chatting with you all tonight.
You know what? I think MJ, you're on 2 times.
I can see that.
And that's why we're getting this weird feedback.
Okay.
There you go.
There, it's better. Okay, Edie?
Edie Twining. I am a member for about a year and plus. Also the chair on the Halls Road Improvements Committee and many other things in town.
Okay, John?
Yes, John Stratton. I've been a member actually for some like 20 years at least. So to the dim prehistory before economic was added to development.
John's our senior member. Michael? Michael, can you hear us? We're not, you want to, why don't we skip Michael for a second? MJ?
Hello, everyone. It's Joe joining by phone because I can't get the computer to log on.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Joe. MJ, we're just introducing ourselves. MJ? Can't hear you. You're muted.
Unmute when you talk.
I'm a realtor with William Pitt Sotheby's in Old Lyme, and I've been in the town, living in the town as a full-time resident for 16 years.
Okay, great. Russ?
Yeah, I'm a guest here, I guess, at the meeting. I'm working with Michael on Lyme Academy. So I'm going to be working on their facilities side, working on the facilities committee there. And so I think that's probably why he thought it would be good if I could guest in on this. And I appreciate your allowing me to do that.
Okay, Sadie?
Yep. Hi, this is Sadie from Advanced CT.
And I also, Cheryl Poirier is sitting in.
Hi, Cheryl Poirier. I'm a marketing volunteer with the Arts District, the partnership on Lime Street. And I am a past member of the Halls Road Improvement Committee. And I've lived in Old Lyme for 21 years.
Okay, Joe?
Hi, it's Joe Camion. I am a resident of Old Lyme for 36 years, and I guess I'm no longer a newcomer like you guys. I'm originally from New York City. My wife had deep family roots in Old Lyme, is how I ended up in Old Lyme. I absolutely love the place. I'm a retired consulting engineer. I owned an engineering practice doing mechanical and electrical engineering, and I now teach engineering at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. Kind of like my perfect retirement job.
Okay. Michael, are you there? Michael? Michael, are you there? He is, I see him. Okay. There you are, Michael. Hey, could you just introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, I'm Michael Duffy, and I am the vice chair of the board of the Lime Academy of Fine Arts.
Okay,
And really, really happy to join you guys tonight.
Great. Okay, we have a lot of ground to cover, so I want to get going. I'll remind people to please, I guess the rules are you're supposed to introduce yourself every time you speak since we're online. But I thought what we do is just so we can accommodate our guest, we'll let the Lime Art Academy people go first, and then the advanced CT people, and then if they don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, they can leave. I just wanted to, before we get started there, just put things a little bit in perspective for people who are new and our guests. A couple of years ago, the EDC decided we want to develop kind of an overall strategic plan for economic development in the town. And we thought the first best step would be to get the opinions of people in the town, both the businesses and the residents. And we were working with Advanced CT on Halls Road and connected with them. And so basically, they've completed very quickly 3 projects for us, which were a business and resident survey to give us input from the businesses and residents. So we have that piece. And then we had 2 SWOT workshops, which were basically stakeholders in town and a cross section of businesses. We had the arts community, nonprofits. So just to get people who were experienced in town and had a good insight to get a widespread opinion on where we should be going. And the third piece is Van CT gave us kind of the input for their expertise. So we've just completed all those, and now we're in the process of trying to go forward, and we've identified a couple of initiatives to look at, and we've gotten a little bit off the ground on those, and that's what we'll be doing. So we do have, EDC does have 2 major goals, and one is to support the existing businesses in town, and the second to attract new businesses that kind of fit the character of Old Lyme. So with that, Michael and Russ, I'll turn it over to you for the Lime Art Academy to tell us what's going on there.
Hey, Howard, should we approve the minutes from last month first?
Why don't we just wait, let them go, and I'll do that. Yeah.
Howard, it's Cheryl. I am still getting a lot of feedback. You might want to remind people again to mute if they're not talking. Thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. Michael? Oh, seems like I think he dropped off. Russ, would you want to kind of maybe fill in for him until he gets back on?
Yeah, basically I could do a little song and dance here because
All right, that's okay.
Michael didn't actually brief me on what his agenda items were for this. I think what he's hoping, and I appreciate you allowing me to be a guest, is that I get to understand the workings of the council, since there may be some projects that we'd want to preview with you, and so you get to know me and so forth. But he and I have not met to talk about his agenda items for the meeting, okay. So he is going to have to be on board in order to give you. So I'd go with the others, and then we'll go.
Russ, we just until we're waiting for Michael, there is on our agenda, I don't know if you received that, but one of the initiatives that we've kind of just are investigating is the possibility. We realize there are a lot of cottage industries in town, And people, because of the virus, more people will be working at home, and perhaps developing some resources for those kind of businesses. And one of the things Michael and I just kind of explored very briefly was the idea of maybe the academy kind of potentially participating in something like that. So I don't mean to put you on a spot, but would you have any kind of input to that, or kind of feeling for if the academy might have some interest in that kind of, and
Yeah,
what
I
we're
mean,
thinking
give
about
you a
is
little bit.
basic, yeah, it basically is if there be a resource center, so if people wanted to go, and if they were an artist, have a studio or small office and conference room and that, like a WeWork
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I can explain a little bit about kind of where we are in the process. You know that we currently have someone in the space, right? Okay, so UNH is out of the picture. We are now, the board is actually working actively. We're meeting about it. Oh, Mike's back. Little Mike, let's let Michael do it. He's in a better position to kind of
Okay,
speak for the
Michael's
group.
back on. We asked Russ
Apologize
to
for
do a
that.
song and dance while you were away, but go ahead.
So first of all, I think you guys are awesome for doing the work that you're doing. That a town like Old Lyme is engaged in this at the level that you are, I think is super cool. And thanks for your service doing this work. I know you all are paid, highly paid for the many hours that you're putting into this. So thank you for that. So I joined the board like Russ within the last year, and we were part of the group that was really asking tough questions about the future direction of the academy. And as part of that process, developed a manifesto of 10 points that chart the way forward for the academy. The first point is we believe that there is a call for our mission with a focus on training artists in the foundational traditional methods of creating art in painting, sculpting, and drawing. The second is a critical one, which is we do not believe that the future for Lyme Academy is as a degree granting institution, but is instead one as a small art academy. So with granting a degree comes the need to be accredited by the state of Connecticut and the need to have a whole expensive infrastructure that goes along with that. It's our belief that if you get rid of that, that the amount that you charge for students can drop dramatically. So instead of annual tuition of $45,000 or $47,000 or $48,000 a year for 4 years, you could charge in the neighborhood of $7,000 or $8,000 a year for a full-time course of study. And we believe this because when you look around the country, you can see other smaller communities similar to Old Lyme that have art ateliers where they have been able to make a go of that kind of an enterprise. When the University of New Haven was involved, their bottom line was they needed to recruit 200 students in order to make the numbers work. And I think given the world that we're in, more so now that COVID hit, the pool of people who are willing to pay $48,000 a year for a 4-year degree in arts is quite limited. And Lyme Academy struggled for many years to hit those targets, even before University of New Haven was involved. So we think that instead of focusing on credit accumulation and seat time, we're going to focus instead on skill building towards mastery. And instead of chasing 200 students, which we think is unrealistic, we're going to be looking for cohorts of 20 per year who engage in full-time study for typically 2 to 3 years. So when we're at our sort of maximum enrollment, it would be 60 students who'd be studying there. So I talked to Howard in advance about the idea of sharing my screen. And if you guys are game, I'd like to do that and take you.
I will hit share and see if I know how to do that.
Let me see. I've got a share button at the bottom of my screen. Let me see if that works.
Okay, great.
You guys can see it?
Okay, yeah.
So we put together this manifesto, and it's got 10 points. This is the cover is actually called Mr. Jefferson's Study, and it was done by a graduate, one of the most celebrated graduates of Lime Academy, T. Ellen Lawson, who's had quite a bit of success. So you can see the points laid out here on your screen. That first one that I hit, an academy, not a college, serving the needs of many kinds of students. So these full-time students I talked about, as well as retirees, career changers, young people who are perhaps pre-college looking to burnish their skills. All of those, I think, need to be a part of the mix for the campus. So you can see some of these enumerated here, and I'm going to go through them. They're outlined here. So that the first one about the need for our mission, and the second one, academy, not a college, and that's our founder, Elizabeth Chandler. There, some of you, I think, are acquainted with her and cross paths with her back in the day. This is the different kinds of students. And then the fourth type of student we're thinking about are teachers from around the state who might want to develop their skills and come to Lime Academy for that purpose. So this is one point that I think is probably the most important for this committee, which is how can we activate Lime Academy so that it's a vibrant part of our community. I think that the Academy suffered greatly when it saw itself as a place apart, and it put up walls and didn't invite the community in. We really want to put that, really change that equation and think about ways that we can bring the community in. So for instance, I've got a meeting set up for next week with Katie from the Phoebe Griffin Library about how can we partner together to potentially make the Lime Academy Library an extension of our town library. How can we activate what had been the studio space set aside for our seniors, the fourth year students at Lime Academy, and perhaps make that a place where artists in the community could come and rent studio space monthly. And also, people want to get out of the house or they want to find community. So those are some of the ideas that are contained in this idea of the campus as vibrant community hub. Next is that we love this idea. People told me as we were pulling this plan together, art students, they want to be in urban places. Well, given the moment we're in, I don't know that that's so true. And if we look back in time, 120 years ago, when Florence Griswold was running her boarding house, artists were escaping, cities that were loud and distracting and sometimes dangerous and dirty to come to the country where they could find inspiration and find the quiet to create art. And we think that is something that is got renewed appeal these days. So this is, for those of you who are close followers of the arts, we think that the foundational approach that Elizabeth Chandler pioneered back in 1976 when the Academy first opened are going to be the basis that we use to move forward. We're looking to hire an artistic director. So we just launched the search 2 weeks ago. We have a bequest from a donor, and we will use that gift to pay for the salary of the artistic director. Our hope is that somebody will start by April the 1st. We're doing a nationwide search, casting a wide net, and have a good group of our board members, as well as some outside artists to help us with that selection. We want to play a role in the conversation about art and the direction it's headed. And then one of the last points is helping our students, connecting with our alumni and helping our students as they develop and helping them to careers. So that's just a...
Oh, we lost your voice, Michael.
That's a quick summary of the manifesto. And I make fun of my mom for her lack of skills when it comes to Zoom. So I'll remember to be a little bit more forgiving, given my own challenges there. So that's what we're up to. And what I could do is send out a copy of this manifesto to Howard, and he could just distribute it to you all, so you can have that as well to more thoughtfully read over and consider. So I don't know if you have any questions for Russell or myself. Russell is the chair, as he may have told you, of the facilities committee of the board, and has been and is an active student at the academy, and has been a great sort of supporter financially and sort of spiritually in keeping the mission of the academy moving forward into the future.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. Anyone have any questions for Michael?
I do. This is Joe Cami. And Michael, I had sent you an email quite some time ago, and then Howard had, kind of retransmitted that to you, and you've never responded. So did you read it? Do you have any thoughts on what I'm suggesting?
Joe, you're going to have to jog my memory on the email that you sent.
All right. It's regarding a proposed collaboration with Regional School District 18 and the Lime Academy. All right. What you mentioned about costs, the costs of maintaining the accreditation is significant money, right?
Yes.
And it is a deterrent to a lot of students being able to afford, getting education. And this is no different for an art academy or, a business school or any kind of an academic institution.
Right.
What I opined in my discussion is that, as a father of 3 adult children who I paid for expensive private colleges for all of them, I was fortunate. I was able to steer them in such a way that, the outcome of their education was a career and a good livelihood. That doesn't always happen. Too often students go for an expensive education where, the parents are incurring, a $70,000 annual bill so they can find themselves and maybe change direction 5 times. Not a good thing. The proposal that I'm trying to get out there, and I'm a little surprised that you haven't seen this, but I'll be happy to resend it to you, is the United States of America in a past time, I'm going to say sometime prior to maybe 1960, high school gave you all of the skills needed to begin your adult life. It didn't mean you stopped there. You certainly could continue on to college, but the point is, public education paid for by, the taxpayers of a state and a town or however that's broken out, provided an education and skills that were necessary to initiate an adult life. Somewhere that broke down. And now what's actually quite interesting to me is it never got picked up. Most of the college academic programs, unless a student picks a very specialized degree program, they're not getting prepared for life. And I thought the fact that you have a campus that was, or has been a collegiate type of institution, could there be a potential for a partnership whereby, and what I'm proposing, I haven't discussed this with the school district because I thought that, your facility is what I'm considering as the initiating platform. So I wanted to see if you were interested. And what I'm proposing is, what if we had in town the ability for high school students to spend a year that would let them find themselves, I'm a taxpayer in town. My kids are grown up, but I'm more than happy to support, an additional year of education for high school graduates from the town to find themselves, and in reality also to gain transferable credits. So there would be an accreditation that could be used once they decide what direction they're going.
Excuse me, someone needs to mute their mic. We're getting background noise.
So forgive me for being so forward, Mike, but I just wanted to sort of get this out there. Any thoughts?
This is John Stratton. Years ago, for many years, at least 10 years, the Chamber of Commerce had a scholarship program that was intended to link the art-oriented kids in the high school to the academy. You may remember that, I don't know. It wasn't a huge amount of money, but it was renewable year after year. So you could, if you were a entrepreneurial sort of artist, maybe get up to $4,000 over a period of 4 years. There are some people on your faculty right now who are recipients of that. That's something which I'm not saying that you should reactivate, but it is, as Joe suggested, a kind of bridge from the high school to the, well, I hesitate to say working side of art. We don't have too many cathedrals to decorate these days, but it used to be a job to be an artist. And it certainly is for the, yes. So anyway, reactivate and send you those many memos over many years, which included having students at the academy do specific jobs for businesses in town, commissions, in other words. Yes.
So John and Joe, I'm very interested. Joe, sorry to have lost the thread. I will go back through my emails to find the one that Howard forwarded to you. I remember reading it, and let's connect offline and talk more.
Yeah, it's just something I thought that, if there was, and again, everything starts with a discussion of, okay, is there interest here? Can we do something?
Yeah.
But along the lines of what John just said, that, and by the way, I am one of 17 cousins, of which 6 are artists and the rest are engineers and technicians. Go figure. But there's something in the creative power that is crucial to a fair number of professions.
Yep.
And, my cousins that are artists, none of them are starving artists. None of them are Andy Warhol, or whoever. I'm not big on art other than appreciating, what I see. But they did what they had to do to make a livelihood for themselves, which generally meant turning commercial to a point. So they do their commercial art, but my cousins actually sell their paintings for in the order of $5,000 to $10,000 a pop. So that tells me they must have some talent, but what they had to do, was get into, food. In other words, one cousin owns a restaurant. Another one is a commercial artist that, back in the days of magazines and such, would do the commercial art. They've adapted even in the graphic arts time that we're into now. So I don't think there's anything so terrible about that. That an artist, I don't feel necessarily should have to have a factor support them so they can do their art. So it just goes hand in glove with this concept that education should prepare, young people to initiate, their independent life. And that's kind of the kick that I'm on. So I'll shut up. I talk too much.
No, Joe, that's great. And if I can't find that email, I'll reach out to Howard to make sure that he reconnects us.
Okay.
What I would suggest right now, just because we have so much to cover, I assume, Michael, you heard these ideas. They're new to you, so I don't think you need to respond at the moment, but I think I can see that you really were listening. So why don't we continue that conversation along these lines at a different time, let you absorb that. I'll also make sure that you have John's email, and the three of you guys can kind of talk about this a little bit more, and we can go at another point and revisit this. So that's what I would suggest at this point.
Great. And I've already had a chance to talk with Cheryl a bit and with Edie a bit, sort of in separate instances to kind of hear some of their thoughts, and I've appreciated that as well.
May I ask a last question? How long is the lease for the tenants that you have now?
So we only have one tenant. That's the France Foundation, and
Right.
I believe it's 3 years, maybe 4.
How much space do they use?
So do you know the
I worked for the board of directors for years under Bob Pratt, doing the strategic plan. So I know what your issues are, but I'm curious to know, when that space frees up, how do you relate that to our mission, which is economic development, in perhaps collaborating with tangent fields in the arts to create more of a go-to place for something?
Yeah, I like that a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the Chandler Building.
I do.
So it's essentially the Chandler Building up until the point where the hallway where the gallery is. That's what France Foundation is leasing.
Okay.
And I'd love to, they generate revenue for the Academy, which is important for us.
Okay.
But it doesn't have a mission that connects with ours as much as what you're describing.
Right.
Which I think would be very intriguing to explore. So we've got 3 years or so on that, and then it gives us time to sort of plan.
Yeah, well, that'll fly by. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
If I could, Michael,
go ahead, Russ.
No, just a quick thing is that understand that is really the front of the Chandler Building. I mean, it's the part. There's actually some area behind that wouldn't have to wait for 3 years. Okay, so we'd be happy to have a discussion about ways to collaborate. I think in the near term, right? Isn't that right, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Keep me on that email, Howard, because I have
I will send the entire
long history
committee.
with the Academy.
I will send emails to the entire committee.
Thanks.
To Mike and Russ, and we can continue this dialogue. Yeah, good. I just wanted to ask though one question, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on it right now, but we had basically 2 initiatives that we're looking at that possibly intersect with the Academy, and the one is the one I described before as a home business support project, and the other is how the EDC and the town could better support the arts community. I've been working with Cheryl and talking to her, and she's been doing a good job of schooling me and giving me additional ideas than the ones we had. So let's pass on that one for a second. But I guess just very quickly, would you have any interest in that project if we kind of put some meat on it and get it a little further along? Would that be something in your ballpark, I guess?
Yeah, and so Howard, the request that you're making is, would we be interested in being a part of the dialogue about how the arts drive the economy here in Old Lyme? Is that it?
Well, yes, and the idea about possibly providing facilities say if we did this home business support project, so if people wanted to rent a small office or have a conference room, or maybe there's some support on campus, like a administrative support or receive mail, whatever, that kind of thing, or meet a client. So it would be kind of a little bit of WeWorks kind of model that we'd be looking for a facility for. And I just wanted to, without going into, a lot of details, is that something you would at least be open to, I guess?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. Why don't we leave it at that with you guys? We appreciate it. Thanks for the update. That's really very helpful. And as you can see, I think we have a number of members, and we'll be getting back to you and engaging with you on all those issues. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your
Welcome
work.
to hang around, but please, whatever you like to do, but you don't have to, don't feel obligated to it.
All right,
Okay.
I got to go walk the dog, or else she's going to really.
All right. Well, that's always important, I know. All right, thanks. Thanks, Mike and Russ.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, just,
Nice meeting you. Bye.
we'll just take 1 second and then ask Sadie and Courtney to kind of talk about their proposal. Why don't we just approve the minutes so I can get that done and don't forget? Is everybody look at the minute? Anyone have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, anyone want to make a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay.
Second it.
Approved. Thank you. Okay, so when we get to our business resource project, I'm not sure we've ever come up with a proper title, but we've, at least for here on this agenda, we named it in that way. And we did get a proposal earlier on. We talked about working with Advanced CT. And then at our last meeting, it was suggested that a number of the members would like to hear a little bit more about what would actually be included in this project, and if Advanced CT has worked with some other organizations on something similar. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Courtney.
Go ahead, Sadie.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I can just talk through all the items that we had in our proposal first, and I am happy to answer any questions. I imagine you all received the additional little write-up we did on the business resource guide specifically, and then an example that we sent along of a similar type of document that we prepared for the town of Beacon Falls in Connecticut. So just starting on our overall proposal, in here we have providing support to the town and the EDC with business retention and expansion. So that would mean we are going out with EDC members, with town elected officials as needed to meet with business owners and make sure that they are, that they have what they need. They have access to the resources that they need. Learn about these businesses' plans for expansion if they have some, and if that's the case, kind of help them through the local land use process and make sure, again, that they have what they need to continue to be successful here. We have some support with business recruitment. So Advanced CT, we are very involved with recruiting businesses to the state. And so as we are engaging with businesses and or developers that could potentially find a good match in Old Lyme with the type of project that they're trying to do or the type of business that they have, we will coordinate meetings and work with the town to at least make sure that Old Lyme is kind of at the forefront, for those opportunities. And then the other piece, and this is what I sent additional information on, is this business resource guide. So this is a document that we will prepare that you can hand out to new businesses coming to town, that you can hand out to existing businesses. This is a great kind of leave behind for those business visits that will be going on with you. It will include a welcome letter from the first selectman or the EDC chair. It will include kind of an overview, essentially the pitch for Wild Lyme. What are the key assets of the community? We'll include a municipal data profile. We will include a contact list, essentially, with a little bit more information on different types of business resource organizations that are, local, regional, state, national, federal organizations that provide support to businesses. And we'll include, descriptions of those organizations as well as key contacts at those. We will work with the town to put together a outline of the land use regulatory process, because that is something that can often be kind of intimidating for businesses, especially new businesses coming to town that aren't familiar with the land use process. Just doing a simple step-by-step guide can be really helpful. And then finally, we will include some sell sheets on some key real estate opportunities in the community that you all think should be marketed. That's kind of the extent of the project. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, Sadie.
Sure.
I have a question. This is Edie from the hat with Halls Road Improvements. So we are just now in the process of getting a master plan put together for Halls Road. And, it's kind of pretty far down the road that we're going to have actual changes happening. But in terms of the proposal you're doing, is that just for the near future that you're going to be providing this stuff? And
usually we wouldn't put together a proposal for something that's years down the line. We said we'll complete this implementation process into fiscal year 2021. I know we gave this original proposal to you all in like July of this year. So, we can obviously push it back, but this proposal isn't for, 3 to 5 years out. It's, a little bit more near term.
Yeah. I guess what I'm wondering is, there will be properties or different parcels of land on that strip of Falls Road. And one of the things that we will be facing is how to appeal to future development along the road. And so I guess that would be something I'm curious how you would handle. If we have a zoning change, it will allow for mixed use and that kind of stuff. It would be great to make sure there's some kind of attention paid to that. I don't expect you to plan for 2025, but but at the same time, is it possible to work together with our planning group that are going to be providing this master plan for us? And
absolutely. And I think we can provide, number one, kind of a description of that project and what the community has envisioned it to be, just so, someone reading this is aware of it. And then number two, we can certainly highlight properties in this real estate section that are kind of within that corridor. So at least, you can start getting some interest in those properties, seeing who might be interested, and having that conversation despite what it's zoned now. If someone comes to you and says, oh, tell me more about this, then you can say zone residential now, but in the future we're thinking zone for mixed use or whatever it might be. So definitely having a description of the project in there, and then of course having the actual parcels highlighted.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Cindy, I looked at it a little differently. May I? I looked at it a little differently. I was curious to know if in your capacity, at your agency, if you have a list of specific businesses, specific companies, specific industries, regardless of how you categorize them, that you could share with us and say, these are the kinds of businesses that are looking for these parameters, and let us see where our future economic growth may be from such a list, and then plan to fit that in whatever's going on Halls Road or 156 or in this commission's purview. You know,
So
rather
you're
than
thinking-
us saying to you, okay, we want to build this beautiful building and we need a tire store here. Do you have a list of like, here, CVS says they would love to put these drive-throughs through. These are their parameters. None of them fit the town of Old Lyme's profile. Or here's that kind of thing.
Um,
Does
I
that
can answer
exist?
Katie. It's a
Sure.
kind of a combination, MJ. I'll say that well, the first thing we would look at is the analysis that we did for you all around what industries make the most sense in your area. So we would want to definitely limit it to the very good research that we already provided, so that we're not, doing a very wide swath of things that just won't work for you all. And we also got to know the zoning process. We got to know the temperature of the town in terms of what you don't want, what you do want. So we start there. And then certainly when we do have requests, like you're saying, a CVS coming to us, we look at all of the eligible parcels statewide that make the most sense. And then again, compare it to what we know of the municipalities who want that or don't want that, for example. And you would be high on our radar during this work. But I will say it's not like we have an ongoing list of companies that just say blanket parameters, here they are, whenever and wherever will come. It's more, it trickles in as they come to us, we respond to it. And it is steady, but it's not necessarily just a master list that we kind of always have in our back pocket. It doesn't really work that way.
So how did East Lyme get the Costco? Tell me that process.
That's
We
a great
don't want a Costco, but if we knew, like I've talked to Trader Joe's and I know what their demographic is, their median income, their population density is, and they don't see a fit here. But
Yeah. The Costco did not come through us. I'll say that, first of all. The Costco hires their own very sophisticated site selectors, and they do a nationwide search matching their own parameters. They then go directly to those communities that they see a fit in, and often will bypass an organization like ours because they are resourced well enough to do their own site selection. Whereas a lot of times we'll partner with site selectors representing other companies who don't necessarily have all the bucks and can do it on, virtually independently.
so it's more of a smaller micro business. which would
Generally,
fit
I mean,
us
not
better.
always. Sometimes it's very large. It just depends. But
Right.
in that case specifically, Costco didn't use us as their
Right.
medium.
Right, I just picked them as an example. I
Yeah.
was just
No,
curious.
it's a great question. And
Because we would have to reach out every time we had an idea to a different company, a different organization. I'm trying to make that more efficient.
Understood totally. And
Okay.
we're trying to help with that, streamlining it for all the communities in the state. On the other hand, the role of local economic development is to do just that. And so without a dedicated resource, it's hard for you all because you're volunteers. But to the extent that you can do that, picking and choosing yourselves, that is actually what ends up having to happen a lot of times.
I might just add too, I know there's been, MJ, a couple of opportunities that were brought to me and to Tim, specifically on, exit 71, where people were just kind of getting a feel for if the town would be interested. So that happens, I think, fairly more frequently than you might imagine. Okay, well, great. We appreciate you guys going through that. Anyone else have any questions about this proposal or the additional information? Okay, well,
Hi, Sue. This is
I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Barbara. I just have one question.
Sure.
You're giving the proposal now, but with COVID going on, what are you finding with people trying to go into towns and start commercial businesses? Are you finding a large drop? Because I'm seeing a lot of commercial space available and people are not able to rent out their space. What are you seeing?
You want to take that, Sadie?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing definitely some larger projects coming in just kind of statewide. I think that, you know, a lot of companies are still, you know, seeing beyond COVID. What we're seeing more is, you know, small businesses being the ones hit hardest. So, you know, that business retention piece that we put in here is going to be really critical, you know, because we need to focus first on making sure that the businesses in Old Lyme, you know, remain opened and, you know, making sure that they're aware of the resources that are available to support them during COVID and beyond. So, you know, we are still seeing those larger projects coming into the state, but you know, we're seeing some of the smaller businesses within the state suffering a little bit. So,
Okay,
Example
That's
of a
kind of
larger
what I've
business
been
coming
seeing.
in?
I'm sorry. Anyone else have a question? I heard a couple of voices, but
I was just wondering what's a larger business coming in mean? I just curious what that is.
projects with, you know, hundreds of jobs and, you know, large capital expenditures, you know, manufacturing, life sciences, we're still, you know, seeing some of those.
John Stratton, may I just add to this? Some years ago, I was part of a very small committee surrounding a 300-acre parcel, flat land, forested, immediately adjacent to Route 395 up around Killingly, for a Walmart distribution center, not a store. 1,200 jobs, huge taxes, not looking for any tax abatements. They just wanted a place that was near Springfield, Boston, and Hartford. And I was at two well-attended meetings in their high school up there, watched what I believe the community just shoot itself in the foot because it didn't like Walmart. Very little to do with the economics. And in fact, they just brushed that aside as a meeting as a whole. So I like very much the idea of having CT serve as a filter, and if you don't mind us, a buffer for the community so that they really understand what it is they're about to accept or reject. In this particular case up in Killingly, they did not understand it. So that's a comment on that.
okay, good. Anything else? If not, we'll thank you, Sadie and Courtney. We'll let you go. Appreciate it. Thank you. We'll
Thanks,
get back to you.
everyone.
Yeah,
Sarah,
See
thanks
you soon.
everyone. All right, bye.
bye. Okay, I'm noticing it's 6 o'clock, and I'm sure everybody is probably exhausted from last night. So what I would suggest, if anyone doesn't object, is I think I do want to hear from, I think we should hear from MJ and Candace. We're working on the Business Spotlight project. So I'm going to let you do that. And then I would suggest that we kind of adjourn and come back and visit some of these other issues next time, unless someone just feels we should keep going. If not, we'll do that. Is that all right with everybody? Anyone have? Okay, great. MJ, please, could you tell us where we are on that? Oh, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. On the business spotlight,
Yes.
well, I think Candace and I really need to buckle down on it and just sort of narrow our scope, because from what I've seen of our brain dumps on this. We're not as focused as perhaps we'd like to be in an end product. Candace? You agree? I mean, we have a lot of questions we have to resolve for ourselves and then bring them to you and say, this is what we're thinking. Now we're going to go forward. The biggest question is how small is small,
Right.
you know, that kind
So-
of thing.
Yes, I was coming off mute, and I was also trying to find, we created a Google Doc where
Right.
we collected a whole bunch of names of small businesses that could potentially be highlighted. So I think that's a good start. We also tried to categorize them into a couple of buckets, you know, between people who made products like clothing or maple syrup and people who provided services like accounting or music. And so we've got a concept. I think the next step is finding a venue to put it out. You know, whether that's a website or a printed flyer or whatever it is. We talked about potentially getting space on Limeline, but agreed that probably Olin would want to be compensated for that. Another concept would be to partner with the Bureau and see if they would have a website or some place where we could put the stuff up so people could see it. So that's sort of where we are, I think.
Okay, great.
Happy to share the document with the group if people want to add stuff to it.
Okay,
Right.
that would be fine. Well, thank you, guys. That's a good start. I would just mention one thing. While you go through this project, I would think about not ignoring, there's some large companies, I'm thinking of Kellogg and Synthesizer, that are big taxpayers in town, and they're on exit 71, and I don't think they identify with the town. I think they're businesses that happen to be on 95, and they're not like the other businesses in town that really relate to Old Lyme. So I would just ask you, you know, when you go through this process, to potentially, you know, find a way maybe to get them involved, because they're important taxpayers, and we need to, I think, find a way to integrate them a little bit more into Old Lyme.
If I may add, about many years ago now, as usual, I had Kellogg speak to the Chamber of Commerce at a dinner meeting, and I also had Sennheiser do the same thing. They had nice demonstrations of their products. Kellogg, I think, size with respect to what their business is done, which is everywhere. Standpoint of the chamber, that was part of an omnium gatherum, that is pulling them into their perceived community. So it's not a bad thing.
So I think the concept here, actually I could share right now if I was at Savvy. One moment, please.
Oh, God, don't make me do it. I just got
got
a new
it.
computer.
So hopefully you can see our document now.
Okay.
Yep.
Oops, that's the minutes. That was supposed to be a surprise for you, Howard. I was taking minutes.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Let me reshare. Where is it? Oh, well, I'm not going to waste your time. Maybe this is it.
Well, maybe, yeah, maybe next meeting, you know, as you get some more meat on this project.
There it
we'll
is.
kinda
There it is. So
ask
you
to
can see,
report back. Okay.
some of the businesses we've thought of, and they're kind of on the opposite end from Sennheiser or Kellogg.
Right.
Really, you know, small places that you wouldn't necessarily know about unless, you know, they were highlighted. So if anybody thinks of other ones that fall into this particular category, I can send the link out and you can add to this list. But that's kind of what we're thinking about. Bee and Thistle, obviously, that probably should come off because that's really not there anymore.
Right, and we're gonna lose the tax revenue.
Excuse
We're
me?
gonna lose the tax revenue from the
Oh, I
inn.
know. I was thinking of that. That must be quite a big hit.
Yeah.
It's a hit.
Yeah.
But John Stratton or Howard, anybody, I think, do we have contacts at some of those industries off of exit 71? Because they must have partners that they integrate with, either vertically or horizontally, or, that might be tied into smaller businesses that we have. So maybe that's a way to put them all together.
We did invite, and I think they did attend one of the SWATs, both Sennheiser
Right.
and Kellogg. But boy, it's tough to get contacts there. I had someone that was helping me, and that was even tough. And then, so I actually just went over there and rang the bell. And believe it, like Kellogg, you just ring a bell. I mean, this is a huge company with like 50 big trucks out back, and you ring a bell. And I tried, and there was an intercom, and I said, hello, and, and tried to reach them, but I couldn't. So it's it's an interesting, but so at this point, I would just say, think about that. Yeah.
I have a contact over there, I think, through the Art Academy, actually.
Yeah, and I think we can get some help too. I think Tim knows some of those people. Yeah.
The Connecticut Clean Trades people do that also.
Who was that, John?
With respect to Kellogg, the Connecticut Marine Trades business group does have direct contacts there. I actually, those years ago, did ring the doorbell too, because you don't know who to call. I also, by the way, don't want to omit our France Foundation, alias Simpson Healthcare Associates, or whatever they call it.
Right.
The parent group. And I had to ring the bell there too, and they kept asking me whether I should just leave the resume there. I said, no, I'd like you to come to us. They didn't get that they owned a major piece of property on the Shore Road. They paid taxes. But
so is Simpson still there, or are they still on Shore Road, or did they move over to the?
Oh, sorry.
Or did they move over to the Art Academy?
I believe they are still there. I believe also that this is conjectural now. They built or owned or leased a very large building in, I will call it north, I sort of western Deep River along Route 80.
So, because that property on Shore Road looks like nobody's really cared about it in a long time. I think the vines will obscure the sign if somebody doesn't go down there and take care of it.
That is the truth. The only new signs they have there are no beach parking.
Okay, great. Very good. Thank you guys for sharing that. Okay, I think Edie will let you give you some glory here. Why don't you just remind people of where the Halls Road, there's a big milestone that just was accomplished. So why don't you just tell us about that, and we'll get out of here.
Sure. Yeah. Just so you all know that we have been approved both by the Board of Selectmen and by Finance to go forward using the BSC group to provide us with a master plan for the Halls Road project. The good news about that is that we will be able to provide something so we can work with the DOT, we can work with getting grants to do the streetscape improvements and work on the rezoning of a commercial only district into something that's mixed use. So hopefully with this document, we will be able to, take a real step forward in getting where we're going. And I think the question I had for advanced CT was to make sure one of the next challenges once we get the plan finished is bringing developers and investors into Halls Road to possibly make some changes to some of the current buildings that are there. So that will be a piece that the EDC will be really a key piece to this as well, and the advanced CT documents. So that's our good news. We finally made some progress. So it only took 5 years, but we're getting there. So
That's tremendous progress, and for Old Lyme, 5 years, that's lightning speed.
yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot of work went into that, that's for sure. Okay.
Real quick, Howard, Michael already
Sure.
emailed me asking for my email, so I sent him a discussion that I had tried to get to him back in February.
Yeah,
So
I did feed it to him, but he must have, in fact, we actually talked a little bit about it, but I think your original letter actually didn't go to him, to someone else. And anyway, he'll connect. Good.
Yeah. So that's in process. And Edie, with the success you've had with Halls Road, I'm just thinking out loud. Mike is actually a right-hand man, if you will, to the Tagliatellas of Saybrook Point Inn. And they are players in luxury thing. I think they've given a go at residential housing, and they've had some luck and not some luck. But that would be a wonderful connection for what we're trying to do with Halls Road.
That would be great to know about. If you want to send me that information, that'd be good. Thank you.
Okay.
Also, Cheryl has something to say.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
Jay and Candace, I have from the Arts District, I have an inventory of tourism assets, meaning all of the arts and cultural organizations and tourism places with contacts. So I'm going to email that to Howard and perhaps he can forward it to you to help your list.
Okay, good. Well, appreciate everybody showing up. I wasn't sure we'd get a quorum today, but appreciate your patience and participation, and we'll pick up some of these issues again next time. I think we've exhausted probably at least what we can do at this point. So have a motion to adjourn, anyone?
So moved.
Sure.
Okay, MJ, thank you. Anyone opposed to adjourning? Okay, thank you all.
And
Good night. Thank you.
Turn off your recording, Howard.
Right.
Oh, you need to do that, I think.
I'm sorry, what?
Don't forget to turn off your recording.
Okay, all right, great.
Get saved.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye.